House, the latest on the highly debated $15 an hour minimum wage provision.
U.S. airstrikes target Iranian-backed militias. I'm Tina Kraus with the first military action since President Biden took office.
And Queen Elizabeth's push to get people vaccinated against COVID-19.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The House of Representatives prepares to pass President Biden's $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes. Congress is expected to pass the president's American Rescue Plan out of the House today, putting it on a path to become law next month. The bill will include money for vaccines, testing, and economic relief for individuals, as well as state and local governments. But Democrats lost out on a key provision in the plan. Stephen Portnoy has more details from the White House.
The House will be in order.
The House is preparing to vote on the president's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package.
It's about putting vaccinations in the arm, money in the pocket, children in the schools, workers in their jobs. And it's what this country needs.
The package includes $1,400 stimulus checks for individuals earning less than $75,000 a year. It boosts federal unemployment payments to $400 a week. It also includes funding for school reopenings, assistance for rent and food, money for vaccine distribution, and aid for state and local governments. The bill will likely pass with few, if any, Republican votes.
Let's not forget that nearly $1 trillion remains unspent from previous relief packages. So let's stop calling it COVID relief when this package is clearly just a payout to progressive priorities.
The House bill contains a $15 an hour minimum wage provision, but in the Senate, the parliamentarian says it can't survive the special process that Democrats are using to avoid a GOP filibuster. Here at the White House, aides say the president is disappointed by that decision, but he respects it. The White House says it will look for other ways to increase the minimum wage.
We think it's the right thing to do. We're going to consult with our congressional allies, congressional leadership today to talk about a path forward on how we can make progress urgently.
COVID relief may have a better chance of passing without the minimum wage hike, as Democratic Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema oppose including it in the bill. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, the White House.
Republicans have put forward several plans to raise the minimum wage. Senators Tom Cotton and Mitt Romney unveiled legislation to boost the minimum wage to $10 an hour, while Missouri Senator Josh Hawley unveiled his plan this morning that would boost it to $15 an hour, but only for corporations with more than $1 billion in revenue. The Food and Drug Administration Advisory Committee is expected to approve Johnson & Johnson's COVID-19 vaccine today. It's the last step before the FDA formally grants authorization for the vaccine. Unlike the other 2 approved vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine only requires 1 dose. We'll get ready to end February on a rather pleasant note. Gotta love this weather. Michael Hayslip joins us with a first look at the forecast.
You know, Tanya, if you didn't know better and you stepped outside, you'd almost feel like it was a fall day, is what it feels like. Because if you're not in the wind, the temperature is very, very mild, overcast skies. But as we roll through it, if only we could get that high pressure system up to our northwest to kind of move that cloud cover away. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case today. So what we'll have are temperatures that'll maintain mid to high 40s. We'll throw a low 50 every now and then. I think really we'll get to about 51, 52 degrees. And one final look at the Freeman Health System Sky Camera. Person I've always admired in my life. Don't forget that. Miss Paula Baker. Absolutely adore that. Adore her and her leadership as well. 44 degrees is where we stand right now, feeling like 41. And so when we factor in that little southeast wind, it does take about 4 to 5 degrees out of the actual temperature. That's not too bad though. And as we work into the afternoon, you have to remember cloud cover can be a good thing because it will trap in anything that we're able to absorb today. And Tanya, we are in store for a delightful weekend. We're talking about a Saturday that's going to start out with sunny skies, work us up into the mid 60s until we get a little cloud cover. Then we'll kick in some rain. That's not until Saturday night. That'll take us into Sunday, and I'll break that down with the cold front on the back side of it when I see you in just a bit.
You know, you mentioned Paula Baker, and one of my favorite parts of the morning every day is the Pledge of Allegiance and her intro to it.
They're sticking around with that. We got them for that.
All right, thanks, Michael. The U.S. has taken its first known military actions approved by President Joe Biden. The overnight airstrike along the Syria-Iraqi border is widely considered an unmistakable message to Iran. Tina Kraus has the latest.
Mr. President, what?
President Biden took no questions about the U.S. military airstrikes he ordered in Syria as he headed to Texas this morning.
Mr. President, on Iran!
The overnight attack targeted Iranian-backed militia members in eastern Syria near the Iraq border. The Pentagon says the strike was a response to recent attacks in Iraq that killed a civilian contractor and wounded a U.S. service member. CBS News has learned the mission was meant as payback for putting Americans at risk, but also calibrated to not raise tensions with Iran.
We're confident in the target that we went after. We know what we did.
The Biden administration says it consulted with coalition partners before launching the strike.
We allowed and encouraged the Iraqis to investigate and develop intelligence, and that was very helpful to us.
But in Moscow, the Russian foreign minister says the U.S. gave them just a few minutes of advance warning. Russia is a close ally of Syria and is condemning the attack. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
A British-based monitoring group says the attack killed 22 people, but the Iraqi military says there was only one fatality. Maren Morris and Chris Stapleton lead the nominations for the Academy of Country Music Awards. April 18th awards show will air right here on KOAM from Nashville, Tennessee. Now, Stapleton is nominated as Artist and Producer for Album of the Year for his record Starting Over. He also made the list for the all-male ballot for the Entertainer of the Year. Women were left out of that top category. The other nominees are Thomas Rhett, Luke Bryan, Eric Church, and Luke Combs. Morris, nominated for Female Artist of the Year, and her crossover hit, The Bones, earned her nominations for Single and Song of the Year. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, the Queen's decree.
A royal call to get vaccinated. I'm Ian Lee with what the Queen thinks about folks rejecting the shot.
And later, a sweet and fruity dessert. We're making brown sugar banana cake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Britain's Queen Elizabeth is urging people to get vaccinated against COVID-19. CBS's Ian Lee is in London with more on the rare royal request.
As millions of people roll up their sleeves during the pandemic, some are opting to keep them down.
Been very surprised by how
Queen Elizabeth isn't having it.
they ought to think about other people rather than themselves.
In a Zoom call with doctors this week, the British monarch stopped short of a royal decree, issuing, let's call it, a strong suggestion.
Well, once you've had the vaccine, you have a feeling of, you're protected, which is, I think, very important.
There's no one more high profile than the Queen to help UK health officials promote vaccinations, and palace officials say it was Her Majesty's idea.
It was a rare intervention. It's a very important intervention. But what she said on this call was effectively everyone should get the coronavirus vaccine. And if you don't, you're being selfish.
This is the first time we've seen the Queen since her husband, Prince Philip, was hospitalized more than a week ago for a condition not related to COVID. Palace officials say he is recovering from an infection. The 99-year-old royal received his COVID vaccine last month, along with the 94-year-old Queen.
And as far as I can make out, it was quite harmless.
And the quickest way, health experts say, to end the pandemic. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
The Queen's son, Prince Charles, and grandson, Prince William, have also been out at vaccination centers recently promoting protection against the virus. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Got a few extra ripe bananas? If you do, I have a recipe that'll knock your socks off. It's really that good.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Thunderstorm activity staying to the southeast of us, and we are in store for a delightful end of February here. By the time we get to the beginning of March, it's even going to be warmer than what we have right now. I know that's crazy to believe as we look at our weather almanac on this February 26th. And we'll just be a little skosh below our average temperature, and that's because of the heavy cloud cover. Live look outside of Television City right there as we see 42 in Pittsburgh, 45 in Cassville, and 44 right now in Chanute. Final look. Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. Gorgeous campus. This is at 44. Now that south wind, I know that's kind of weird. You'd be like, nah, it comes in from the south. Should warm us up a little bit? Nah, because actually there's not a whole lot of Gulf moisture and warmth with it. So that's why we have a wind chill that sits at 41. Positive aspect of it, I'm actually going to reverse right here because I did want to bring this up. We've been talking about don't burn anything outside. Today, you can get away with it. Humidity, 73%, not too bad. Past couple of days, we've been sitting about 30 to 40%. So, like I said, you got those limbs down from the ice storm and whatnot, this would be the day to do it. As far as what it feels like outside, 41 in Webb City, 37 in Mount Vernon, and 40 in Independence. With a clean SKYWATCH storm tracker, the rain we had earlier through northeast Oklahoma and the southern portion of southwest Missouri below I-44, now a distant memory and able to break the snow out of the Ozarks. That's right, they actually had snow in south central Missouri earlier on. Good storm system moving right along the dividing line right there. And so while we have the cooler temperatures, got to remember, we'll take the cooler temperatures as opposed to the thunderstorm activity. So not too bad. And this thing is going to recede just a little bit and then come back down and give us seasonable temperatures for the beginning of March. So today, we'll go high to mid 40s, and then actually I'm not going to be surprised if we don't see a 51, 52 on the board, especially down to the south. Great thing about the cloud cover, yeah, traps in a little bit of that warmth, so we stay in the 40s. But I do want to point out that if you have to be out and about early tomorrow morning, expect some patchy fog. That's a result of that humidity sitting right now. That's about 77%. Now, as we clear off Friday night into Saturday, gorgeous start. If you have Saturday plans, please take advantage of it because we're talking about an afternoon with sunny skies and up into the mid-60s. Things are going to change a little bit. It's not going to be too severe, but it's two bands, double barrel action. Number one comes in from the southwest, going to get I-44 just to the central portion with some good rain. But then up here, we've got another band. So everybody's going to get a little precip. And then as this drops through, that's an indicator of the cold front that's on its way. So as we push into the 7-day forecast, that's why we drop from a 65 down to a 49. But as we wrap up February and begin March, you really can't complain. And the key factor being this rain that we're going to see, even during the nighttime hours, we're not close to that freezing point. Even this right here, you have to remember, that's going to be Sunday morning. We drop down here, nothing's going to refreeze, nothing's going to flip over. It's actually a great start to what will be, what's March 1, Tanya?
The meteorological start of
spring. Oh, you got it!
Had to think about it though, but I got it.
I was trying so hard to put you on the spot, and you nailed it. That was perfect. That's why I love working with you. That's why I love working with you.
All right. Thanks for testing me, keeping me on my toes. All right, we take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Sergeant Melvin Brooks in the United States Army. The soldier hails from Joplin, Missouri. Brooks fought in the Korean War where he received the Bronze Star. To Sergeant Melvin Brooks, we thank you, our four-state hero. Sick of making the same old banana bread with your ripe bananas? How about making them into a cake? Howard shows us how to make his brown sugar banana cake in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
To me, nothing is more down-home comforting than a banana bread that's right out of the oven. Well, my new favorite that tops banana bread is a brown sugar banana cake that's, well, I guess the best way to describe it is heavenly. To make it, all we have to do is beat some softened butter and sugar with some sour cream and a couple of eggs until it's creamy. Once it is, we toss in about 4 ripe bananas that we've mashed, along with a splash of vanilla. After this is smooth, we add our dry ingredients and continue to beat until the batter comes together. This goes into a baking dish and we pop it in the oven for about a half an hour until it passes the toothpick test. After it cools, We finish it with a brown sugar boiled milk frosting that's so good, you could eat it by the spoonful. I only wish you could smell how good our kitchen smells right now. On top of that, the cake is super moist, thanks to the ripe bananas and our sour cream. Plus, the frosting is to die for. To get the recipe for what we call brown sugar banana cake, simply visit our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found the ultimate comforting way for you to say, ooh, it's so good. It's very moist. It is moist, isn't it? Yum-malicious.
I absolutely love banana cake, and we'll be trying that recipe. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Mostly cloudy skies, temperatures already sitting in the mid-40s. We'll see some 50s every now and then when we get to the southern portion of the 4 states. Overnight into the 40s, but look at this Saturday. This is absolutely ridiculous for the end of February. Partly sunny skies all afternoon long and up into the mid-60s. Tanya?
All right, well, coming up tonight at 5, a cautionary tale for grown-ups who sometimes let the kids play with their phone or tablet. A little girl wound up in a great deal of trouble after spending $3,000 on her grandparents' Amazon account. What she purchased on her shopping spree. Plus, Joplin City Mayor explains the decision not to extend the mask mandate expiring this weekend. And Nevada Regional Medical Center receives care funding grant for a new center that is expected to create more than 200 jobs. Join us for those stories. Much more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
There's a part of me when you said that, I feel bad for that kid because I know it wasn't on purpose.
Let's say there might have been a couple of refrigerators purchased.
Oh, no! Have a great, safe weekend. Check your kids' phones. Tanya and I will see you again on Monday morning.
And the rest of the team will see you right back here.
If you see news happening, tell us about it.